Okay, recording.
All right, so you have questions, but just to put, so to speak, a landing. We will start on the line that begins with Etz Chaim, just below the middle of that page, Yud Zayin, and at the end of that line. And what we're talking about is that that there was the Ein Sof, that initially, the Oyer Ein Sof, this is from the Chaim, Malay Kol HaMetzius, this filled the entire Metzius, and there was not a Roish, there was no head and no Sof, no beginning and no end. Which means that this Oyer represented, in the truest fashion, the Atzmus itself. Just as you cannot ask the question, where does it come from, where does it start, and where is it going to? This Oyer was Oyer that was Oyer of Etzem, and thus it did not have any of these rational qualities that one would ask, where does it come from? There is no where it's coming from, because it's in reality itself. And therefore, in order to facilitate the world, which what we're going to say is primarily is in Kelim, this oil had to be nisamtzim. And by the simtzum, that facilitated the ultimate revealing of Kelim, as we shall see. Okay, so where is our question?
Revealing of? You said revealing of Koichos? What you just said.
Kelim.
Oh, revealing of Kelim.
Question, well, when we reviewed it last night, Avram and myself, so we reviewed the beginning of the Shir.
Right.
In which it was said that, in a certain way, Mashalim are as important or are the point of learning Chassidus. I think that was one of the main questions.
Right. And we said that Mashalim are even more important than the what the Nimshul is. The Nimshul is talking about Atzilus, to which we have very little access. Surely you have to know about Atzilus. You have to know Dasel and Keyokim, you have to know the Ishtalshalos. But what is more pertinent? We'll have to dial in. Is it dialed in?
Right, that's Shlomo. No, he just called me directly.
I'm sorry.
Shlomo?
Yes?
Rabbi's going to call the conference room right now.
Sure.
Okay.
Where is your speaker? No speaker either?
That's also in the office.
Record your name followed by the pound key.
Abba Paltiel.
Thank you. You are now entering the conference room. To enter, you are participant number 3.
All right, I apologize. There we are. Where is the speaker?
These guys, yeah.
Yeah. The truth is, you say Chassidus is based on Kabbalah. But the union of Chassidus is bringing the Kabbalah down to the reality, to the worldly reality, to the human reality. Approximating and replicating the Yonim the way they are Milo here Lamata in the human being. Because the human being was created in similitude to the way things are Lamayla. As we said many times, the human being has an essential presence. Clearly that essential presence is what has been granted to him by his Creator. But his Creator has imbued him with an essential bit of reality. This is why the Mashalim are extremely important. This is where the essence is really revealed. We said many times, it's interesting, Yonim in Allah. In Senshum and Esrei, the primary thing is that I should stand still in one place. And it should appear, it should look like you're standing in front of the king. What is your thought at that time? Sure, the thought also has to be similar to and so forth. But that is not the critical thing. If your thought floats away, you're Yotze Shemoneh. You can say Shemoneh without Kavanah. But you can't say Shemoneh walking around. Or sitting. Or lying. I mean, depends if somebody's not well. But you can't do that. There's even a din that if you do need to walk away from Shemoneh, human being, you have to break in the middle of Shemoneh. So there is a din that if you can leave your shoes in place to guard your spot, walk away and step back into your shoes and go and continue on to now. I mean, a person should, a person should check himself before he goes to Nesra. He wouldn't be threatened by having to interrupt. But if it happens, the spot that you started, this is important. What's important about that? What does this tell us? That's as we're learning now. This Ayin Soif, Ein Lei Rosh, Ein Lei Soif. There is no explanation for it. There is no beginning and end. What is it about? Our relationship to our Creator, to the Mevorshim, isn't that at that level. All the way in the beginning. When we received the Torah, what was our response? Nonsensical. Why, what is the significance, what is the meaning, Nasser and Yishma? If you think about it, it's really nonsensical. What is the real meaning behind it, and why is it so significant? Because Nasser and Yishma represented the fact that we accept the king, not what he's going to tell us. And our relationship is directly to that. How can we, flesh and blood can relate to that? Because we have that type of a truth in us. We have it in Etzem and Shoma, that we can relate to that Ayin that is completely super worldly. There's no way to describe it in worldly terms. And as we have demonstrated it in different ways, and one very strong moment, when we say if a man is in the gutter He's lying in the gutter. And he claims that he's perfectly comfortable and satisfied and happy. And he says, leave me alone. We know that there is a human spark in there that is very unhappy with this state. Where is that human spark coming from? Is it from his learning, from his activities, from his experience? Obviously not. His experience tells him, I want to stay in the gutter. It is what the godly spark in him, what God has put into him. How God declared his presence. That remains there, even if he's not aware of it. This is where we come, so that we encounter godliness in our own thinking process, in our own psyche. No principle of kavod, of honor, of respect is not a worldly concept.
One more time. Respect is not worldly.
That's right. Why do you need respect? All you need is, that's what the whole world claims. All you need is to fill your belly. Like we say the other day, we say, you eat because you're hungry. You eat because you want to live. Where do you get that idea? This is what happened in the world. They try to translate the world in worldly terms, and they lost their intellectual perception. And they call that intellectual honesty. The absence of intellect is intellectual honesty. Because in fact, real intellect is a godly gift. It's not a worldly thing.
When you say
Go and explain this one. Go and explain logically why you would not desecrate a cemetery. Who is bothered by it? We consider that bestial, subhuman. What's in it? You know that France, so they don't let you. They actually plow over the quarry after whatever number of years and finish. That's why people can bury in France, because there is no such thing as a permanent burying place.
They have no, in France, they
Yeah.
don't have burial grounds. They don't have
They don't have permanent burials. A certain duration of time, and that's it. All burials from France are moved to such a soil because it has to be. Intellectual honesty. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
when we had Ein Lo Rosh Ein Lo Sof, so in a way that sounds like a cycle. Like you say, a cycle of nature that has no beginning and no end. But here we...
No, one second. Ein Lo Rosh Ein Lo Sof is more than a cycle. A cycle has a beginning and end, but you can't identify it. really is beyond the whole principle of Rosh Hashanah. And that's why interesting. Bechinas Rosh, Bechinas Seif. Not Rosh Hashanah. Bechinas Rosh, Bechinas Seif, as you all point out, is an implication of a different quality. The whole principle of Rosh Hashanah doesn't exist.
So that's like saying beyond process and beyond cycle.
Right, completely. And I explained just now. Just as an atzmos, anybody who has a little sense of what we're talking about atzmos, you do the question of where does it come from, and what is it there for? It does not apply at all. And if it bothers you, then you're not talking about atzmos.
Right.
The Oirin Soif that is initially revelation of atzmos is identical. It's in real atzmos in this true fashion. Why bechinas rosh, bechinas rosh? Why is there no bechinas rosh? Because you're not looking for the rosh. There is a reality here. Why do you look? What kind of question is it? You were with us this
Yeah.
morning? Great.
And maybe, well, you'll say if it's off topic, but when we said Naaseh v'nishma, and this we say is nonsensical, so obviously we're meaning something beyond making sense. But the distinction between nonsensical that's below making sense and this that's above making
Okay,
sense.
so here's it. Nasa v'nishma, the definition of the word nasa v'nishma, I shall do. Doing means I have an instruction what to do. So therefore I need to relate to it as an instruction or something that I can understand and know what to do. Now you say nasa v'nishma, I don't need to understand. Why? Because we accepted this Ayin not on the basis of the instruction, on the basis of the relationship to the instructor. Beyond that, we realize that we cannot understand because the nasa, the deed, the command that is, the instruction that is being given to us is not within our parameters. It is the instructor's perception, not ours. Because these mitzvahs represent the truth, connect us to him himself. Lifts us completely out of this world. Like we say very simply, right? You're in the middle of a job. You have work to do. Shabbos comes, you close shop. Why? What justification is there in the context of your work, in the context of your worldly life? What does it mean? How do you close shop? How do you interrupt work for a day, every 7 days? The answer is, your time, the identity for your time is not based on your worldly experience. The identity of time is what your Creator has provided you with. That's your identity of time. That's what we said. What is eternity by the Torah definition? 50 years. How's 50 years eternity? And if you're going to say eternity from a worldly perspective, eternity is something that goes indefinitely without any end, without any meaning, that's not what we're relating to. We're relating to time that Hashem is providing for us. In terms of time that Hashem provides, 50 years, that's an eternity. As we explained, because time means you can express all the various meters. 50 years is 7 times 7. You have the full reality of world, of Hashem's creation. That's called eternity. That's why in Torah there's no word eternity. It's called the oilam. What's meant to oilam? The word oilam means what? World. It means to the end of the world. There's no time prior to world. To the end of world. World is midas. And then you have 7 midas, 7 days, and you have 7 years, and so forth, and 7 shmitas. That's world. And that's called eternity. Eternity in nothingness, that doesn't exist. That's you floating away to nothingness. We always stay within the parameters of the godly creation. So coming back to the question, this is the significance. The mashal is that which correlates, which reveals in the world the godly presence. In the world, on a worldly stage, level. Like we say all the time, the fact that a human being stands on 2 feet is a godly phenomenon. And the reason he stands on 2 feet is not because his feet are so adept at standing, because his head floats above existence. This is why Chassidus is called what? Dach. What's Dach stand for?
Divrei Elokim Chai.
Divrei Elokim Chai. The words of the living God. The words of the living God means it comes from life and it's giving you life. It's not words that are accommodating your worldly present being. Just like life in your body. It completely disregards and says, hey, get up here. Come to life. Right? The body says, I don't know what you're talking about. I think, as I was contemplating this is the whole, that the illustration of the drunk and the gutter is so succinct, is so pointed. You can't eliminate that. And everybody sees that. If anybody will come and take this drunk and just throw him deeper into the mud, you will say, what are you doing? Where's your human respect? Respect for this garbage. Right? You lost your sense completely. You're not. You lost your sense of the truth of the world. That's nothing novel in today's world. It is really prevalent, and we've seen it in the Second World War, Rahman Islam, and we see it all the time. This is what we have to counter, and the only way to counter it is with Chassidus. Chassidus give us a perspective within the world parameters, something which is really godly. the Rebbe was facing a gun. You know the story? Threatening this gun opens up all the mouths and makes everybody talk and says this gun can threaten only one who has many worlds and one God. Who has one world and many gods. I have one God and many worlds. This gun does not threaten me. This the Rebbe said he wasn't kidding. It was at the time when the gun was pointed at him in the hands of an animal. In the hands of a creature who wanted to prove that he can pull the trigger, and he can subdue the Rebbe. He was not, so to speak, under the jurisdiction. He didn't have to answer to anyone if that happened. They arrested our Ayin, the greatest amongst us. And that night they shot him. No ceremony. They arrested him, put him to the basement, and that was the end of him. Nobody knew till after the revolution, after they dissipated, then they found out what happened. And we had the spirit, the Rebbe and his choir, we had the spirit to face these guys down to the point where they dissipated. Where does that come from? What kind of spirit is that? They literally fought them with spirit, with ruchnius. This is why the Mashalim are so important. Because learn Chassidus and know things in Atzilus and have no pertinence to your life. And we continue to be the same Darwinian model. And our aim is to shed that skin, that hide. This is it for today. Have a great day.